of growing its economy tenfold and achieving a $500 billion GDP by 2040.
We wanted to promote the business communication, but at first we have to know. Japanese company doesn't know well about Uganda, so I wanted to ask you to explain about Uganda business environment or something. So,
半導体今世界で大変伸びてますよね。AI とかアーティフィシャルインテリジェンス、半導体とか AI が伸びてますけども、その半導体を作る機械のとても重要な部品とかを。
Japan's 124 million population also presents a unique demographic opportunity that Uganda hopes to leverage. Since 2016, Japan's birth rates have drastically declined, from over 1 million births per year to just about 686,000 annually. If this trend continues, the developed consumer economy could face labor shortages in the coming years.
So what do we need to do? Get our people trained, the young people, the youth, get them trained, get them skilled. But the most important thing about the Japanese market when it comes to labor services is integrity and ethical conduct of our people. Mindset change is critical for us to enter into this market, but not to do small manual jobs, but as young professionals.
A Japanese delegation representing the Osaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry is set to embark on an in-depth exploration of Uganda's economy, hoping to identify key areas that best suit their investment interests.
Uganda and Japan relations in Osaka are poised for deeper integration, with both nations working to leverage existing opportunities to strengthen political and economic ties. However, it is critical to bridge the information gap, address quality and standards if this partnership should yield. Reporting for UBC News, Wadulo Arnold Mark in Osaka, Umeshida, Japan.
As the spirit of Uganda fills the ambience on Japanese soil, the national flag rises to the pinnacle of the expo stage and the anthem plays on. One cannot help but anticipate what comes next. Ito Yoshita, Japan's minister in charge of World Expos, officiated the launch of Uganda's National Day at Expo 2025, delivering a keynote speech that highlighted Japan's recognition of Uganda as a peaceful, secure, and investment-ready economy.
この万博を契機にコーヒーをはじめとする
Osaka this June, with numerous private sector companies attending from both countries. I understand that Uganda became Africa's largest exporter of coffee this May.
発展するきっかけとなることを期待をいたしております。
Uganda's Prime Minister, Robina Nabanja, reaffirmed the need for deliberate efforts to deepen bilateral relations between Uganda and Japan. She applauded Japanese companies already thriving in Uganda and called for more collaboration in trade and investment.
Ladies and gentlemen, we attracted a company called Skipon, a fertilizer developed by SL Arc Planter, a Japanese company that has already undergone scientific trials in Uganda, and the results are positive.
The renowned Ndere Troupe, one of Uganda's most celebrated cultural ensembles, treated guests to a vibrant showcase of Uganda's heritage and diversity through traditional dances from various regions, an effort to boost the country's tourism appeal. Ugandan private sector representatives exploring the Japanese market urged government to implement strategies that would fast-track entry into world-class markets like Japan.
So this they can copy to other areas and which attract more people. The whole idea is to all exporters from Uganda has to achieve more markets in Europe, all over the world actually.
We urge Uganda to come on the ground, our government to come on the ground and support the private sector by mentioning them company per company, supporting them in whatsoever they are doing, because at the end of the day, we are selling Uganda and we are promoting Uganda products.
The Osaka Expo 2025, which concludes this weekend after 7 months of showcasing futuristic innovations in technology, architecture, medicine, agriculture, and other sectors, will forever remember Uganda's National Day in Umeshima, Osaka. However, the business community has been challenged to match their words with actions if Uganda is to translate this camaraderie into tangible economic gains in the near and distant future. Reporting for UBC News, Wadulo Arnold Mark in Japan.
Uganda and Somalia have reaffirmed their commitment to consolidate gains made on the battlefield into economic and social cooperation. This was underscored with the signing of the 3 key memoranda of understanding at the conclusion of the 2-day Joint Permanent Commission held in Kampala. Dennis Segoa has a report.
The Uganda-Somalia Joint Permanent Commission ministerial session has featured the signing of the Memoranda of Understanding on Security, Immigration and Education. The MOUs were signed by the respective line ministers from both countries.
Saying there is a free movement of labor, free movement of students, and we have agreed to treat all the East African community students the same way when it comes to fees. We have even communicated to the tertiary higher education institutions where many of the Somalis fall. So we shall use this MOU to enforce what was agreed upon in the past for the East African community now that Somalia is part of the community.
While officiating the ministerial session, Minister John Mulimba, the State Minister for Regional Affairs at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, emphasized the importance of consolidating the gains achieved since the inaugural session in 2022, also in Kampala.
Uganda stands ready to welcome Somali investors, entrepreneurs, students, and tourists to take advantage of its strategic location at the heart of Africa, vibrant markets of over 47 million people, and stable investment climate.
On the sidelines of the 2-day bilateral cooperation event, the Somali delegation expressed optimism about advancing diplomatic and trade relations for mutual gains.
With the agreements that we had and with the subsequent agreements that we'll be having, it will be a great opportunity for the Ugandan companies and the business to work in Somalia, including the education. Many teachers are now working in Somalia, and on the other side, many students are now getting their education in Kenya.
For Ugandan exporters to Somalia, I think the first incentive or the biggest motivator is that Somalia has now joined the EAC. And the EAC, we are now implementing the Common Market Protocol, free movement of goods, services, and labor. So that's the first incentive, very huge one. It comes along with a very huge demand in terms of market.
Meanwhile, Uganda has flagged off its first consignment of ready-to-drink coffee to Mogadishu, a milestone aimed at expanding the market for Uganda's coffee in the Horn of Africa.
His Excellency Hassan Sheikh and His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, they have made the best conducive environment for both exporters from Uganda and those from Somalia to coexist and survive in either country.
Dennis Segoa for UBC.
In more news, investing abroad widens your portfolio of assets, but to Dr. Kihura Nkuba, it is a spirit of Pan-Africanism. Nkuba owns various investments in South Africa, including a pharmaceutical farm and hotels. Business Roundup profiled the renowned Ugandan businessman in South Africa.
It's early morning at Villa Africa Boutique Hotel in Pretoria, South Africa. As I sip my coffee, the sight of the Uganda flag gently waving at the hotel's entrance catches my eye. I am drawn in by the symbol of hope, unity, and Pan-African pride. Curious to know more, I decided to explore the deeper connection between the hotel and this flag, an exploration that leads me to an exciting business venture with roots in Africa's own potential. At the backset of my mind, I'm interested in finding out the owner of Villa Africa Boutique Hotel. Little could I know, after inquiries, that the facility is owned by Ugandan businessman Dr. Kihura Nkuba, a passionate Pan-Africanist with a dream of fostering greater unity among African nations. As I delve deeper into the story, I learned that Dr. Nkuba is not only dedicated to hospitality, but has also ventured into the pharmaceutical industry alongside his South African business partner, Jaco Badenhorst. Jaco Badenhorst, who has known Dr. Nkuba for over a decade, warmly agrees to sit down for an interview.
This is a large hotel in Pretoria. Pretoria is the capital of South Africa. It's next to Johannesburg in the Gauteng province.
He recalls their initial meeting when Dr. Nkuba shared his dream of African collaboration. With this shared vision, the duo expanded their investment horizons, ultimately acquiring the 40-year-old Spec Farm pharmaceutical company. Today, the company is known as Medu Pharma.
This is a 10,000 square building in Randburg, next to Johannesburg.
Despite having no pharmaceutical background, Jaco and Dr. Nkuba were undeterred in their pursuit of a venture that would positively impact Africa's self-reliance. Their goal is to reduce Africa's dependence on Western countries and harness the continent's natural resources to solve its health challenges.
That's where the journey started. That was only 4 months ago when the process started. And that's where our relationship started.
The Medu Pharma plant is already making strides in the industry, producing various essential medications. Jaco says their team has secured over 300 drug dossiers, including vital medicines like tenofovir, lamivudine, tirofiban, and cefuroxime, which will allow Medu Pharma to legally produce and own the rights to these drugs in Africa.
Some of them is anti-malaria, anti-cancer, and that's where our path went into purchasing some of these dossiers.
Inside the plant, it's a beehive of activities. Medu Pharma's team is working tirelessly to bring these critical medications to market.
We've got a good system in the dispensary where to avoid to weigh the wrong thing. And then from there it will go to manufacturing, either the wet section or dry section. Wet section, it liquids and creams and gels. Yeah. And then we make those, after we've made those creams and gels, then we put them into mobile tanks. Then from there they go to packing. But after they've been tested to see that everything is in order.
Here's an example of the finished blister. And there we have the batch code. And on this side we have the expiry date.
Yet, despite these impressive strides, Jaco admits that further support is needed, both from African governments and investors.
So even if you are able to produce the medication, you still depend on mostly India and China to produce the API. And we hope that eventually we can transfer some of these production houses and plants to Uganda so it can be manufactured locally.
The venture, though successful, faces challenges, particularly when it comes to competition and navigating global regulations. Despite multiple attempts to contact Dr. Nkuba for further insight into these strategic aspects of their business, reaching him proved difficult. However, his absence doesn't dim the spirit of the enterprise. I also reached out to Uganda's ambassador to South Africa, His Excellency Ambassador Paul Amoru, hoping for insights on Uganda's role in this growing African business success. Unfortunately, he was unavailable for comment. Despite these hurdles, the optimism surrounding Medu Pharma is palpable. The team is pushing forward with bold ambition, determined to offer solutions that transcend borders and making a lasting impact on Africa's health landscape. Sub-Saharan Africa has roughly 375 drug manufacturers to serve about 1.3 billion people. China and India, by contrast, have about 5,000 and 10,500 pharmaceutical manufacturers respectively. As Medupharma continues to expand, it remains clear that this venture is not just a business success story. It's a testament to the power of African visionaries coming together to shape their own destiny, proving that Africa's potential is not only real, but ready to take the world by storm.
Uganda has received 30,000 tons of wheat seeds destined for the Karamoja sub-region, touted as the country's next agricultural frontier. The imported seeds are expected to spark a green revolution in Karamoja, bringing food security, incomes, and renewed hope to the people.
At exactly 4 in the morning, Air Uganda, the national carrier, touched down at Entebbe International Airport. On board was precious cargo, 30 tons of wheat seeds from Nigeria, earmarked for farmers in Karamoja. On hand to receive the shipment were Ambassador Lieutenant General Philip Idro of Operation Wealth Creation and Robert Anyang, the country director of Sasakawa, a non-profit organization supporting smallholder farmers across Africa.
This, what you see here, is going to change the history of Uganda. We import in Africa over 30 million tons of wheat per year. East Africa alone imports about 5 million tons. Uganda imported 700,000 tons last year. These are wheat seeds, 30 tons of wheat seeds, which are going to be planted in Karamoja.
Next 5 years, we hope to stop importing wheat. The 30 tons of seed you see here will be grown on 500,000 hectares in Karamoja. Karamojans call it hope or ageno, but we believe it will change the wheat and also the industry around wheat. We expect $10 billion worth of investment in the next 5 years. And this is what we call hope. And to the Karamojang is the breadbasket of the country. And we hope to see more of this. Thank you.
Ambassador Idro described the consignment as a beacon of hope and a symbol of prosperity for the region. It is anticipated that this initiative will create jobs, curb cattle rustling, and promote agro-industrialization, all key goals under the National Development Plan 4.
Wheat actually is a simple crop like sorghum. Once you grow sorghum, you can grow wheat. But people have their own imaginations because wheat is imported. Now, why Karamoja? Karamoja has the right temperatures during the day and the right temperatures during the night for wheat. This has been studied all over the world. At the same time, wheat requires very little rain. Let me explain. Maize requires 1,300 millimeters of rain. Sorghum requires 700 millimeters of rain. Wheat requires 350 millimeters of rain per year. So you can see the dryland area of Karamoja is very suitable for wheat.
With projected investments of up to $10 billion over the next 5 years, the wheat program is expected to spur industries such as flour milling, bakeries, pasta, and animal feed production.
Uganda is a net importer of wheat from countries such as Ukraine and Russia. But with this initiative, the country is ready to change the status quo. Dennis Igoa for UBC in Entebbe.
In our corporate news, Vivo Energy Uganda has unveiled Powering Your Next Move, a new commercial campaign aimed at helping businesses reduce downtime, manage costs more effectively, and run their operations more efficiently. Meanwhile, the National Social Security Fund and the Africa Social Security Association have launched the All Africa Pension Summit, a groundbreaking continental gathering set for the 5th to 7th November in Kampala.
Vivo happens to be one of the A-class suppliers.
Therefore, we want to say, when we stand here and tell you business beyond price, that is what we mean. We are going to lead in technology. When we learn VECEM, continuous equipment monitoring, you will see the value. So that's what we want to launch this morning. So we expect that to land in Kampala next year. So prepare, partner with us, talk to us nicely so that you're on the list, because it will give you the value and we will monitor that value so that it's quantifiable, right? This is what Powering Your Next Move is all about, helping businesses operate smarter, safer, and more efficiently.
This campaign comes at a time when our economy is steadily recovering and expanding across the transport, logistics, and construction industries. Efficiency, reliability, and cost management remain key drivers of competitiveness. By focusing on reducing downtime, saving costs, and ensuring operational reliability, Vivo Energy's Powering Your Next Move campaign is perfectly aligned with the government's goal of supporting private enterprise to grow sustainably and efficiently.
Pension funds come in. What have been those bottlenecks?
We've been receiving funding from a lot of our development partners. However, due to the realignment of the global geopolitics, these traditional sources of foreign funding for Africa can no longer sustain the pace at which we require funding for our various programs. This means that Africa, we need to take more responsibility for our own funding to run our own development agendas. Beyond the traditional investment classes, as we've done this way for pension funds, many of you know, pension funds will buy government paper, we call that fixed income, will buy equities, will buy real estate. What we are saying is that we need to get a little bit beyond that and really directly and significantly drive our own Africa economic growth.
Africa, as we've heard, is home to vast pools of domestic capital, some in goats, some in land, some in your bank accounts, but particularly within the pension funds. We've had the number of $700 billion, we've had the number of $1 trillion, and yet much of this capital remains underutilized in driving the kind of inclusive growth and infrastructure development that our economies urgently need.
In front of us, there's turbulence shaping development finance today. We see declining aid flows, shifting geopolitical priorities, and funding uncertainties more than ever before. It is vital to formulate, in this situation, actionable solutions for enhanced domestic resource mobilization and innovative financing to support national development strategies while fostering resilience and sustainability. Africa must look inward, mobilizing domestic savings, diaspora remittances, and blended finance models to reduce aid dependency. Given
our national agenda, anchored in our Vision 2040, views robust digital public infrastructure as a core engine of modernity. We are actively building our own digital ecosystem, from e-citizenship and foundational identity systems to streamlined e-services. And we are eager to share our journey, our successes, and equally important, the lessons learned along the way, and we welcome you to Kampala next year. Why Kampala? Why 2026? Kampala stands ready to welcome the DGA community. We are a youthful nation, brimming with entrepreneurial spirit and a dynamic technology sector.
In another development, the port of Mombasa is Kenya's main seaport and a vital hub for the Northern Corridor and the East African region. Mombasa Port, featuring tonight in our Sounds of Business, connects to over 80 global seaports and serving as a critical point for international trade in the region. Take a look. Now, in light of Uganda's 63rd independence anniversary, it got me thinking, when was the last time you were truly independent? Independent of the world, of circumstances, and what of others think? It's time to take charge of your thoughts, your ideas, and your decisions. I promise you will see a change. We thank you for your audience. My name is Maureen Babidie. Goodbye.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
muzukulu kumandiga nateranga nyingiro ne banafa ba MTN wanji MTN walalo MTN gamba ki to get the power to win njagalo ofune elyanyi okuwangula ogenda kuwangula ota ngenda kubanga obukadde 10 buli wiki wanji ngenda kubanga kwasa obukadde 10 buli wiki ku simu ye nyinyi kyabonka kimuchoka line ya MTN bana beka buli ogenda okusasula ekintu kyonna ogenda okusasula ntakwese momo obulya buli ogenda okusasula ngenda kyosasula kyonna kozesa momo ozo konga ngenda kwewola ka sente kozesa momo wanji ogenda ku investinga kozesa momo abwa MTN we jamani ne kwa obukadde 10 buli wiki wala kastenyo bimala bwe pala wentandika ngamba kyekiriwo wanji nenkwata ku masimu ngamba halo walirudawa tenze tirinyi halo walirudawa zende guru halo walirudawa ndi mutukula halo oliwa ndi mwanange ndi wano mu office ntudde nyiga ma computer nenkuta awa namwe kasana benesi okuberanga mwana wote koze bitu no manga epeyinze ebolowinze investinze ngekozesa momo. Remember to dial star 165 # or use the momo app to borrow, to pay, to invest, and you could stand a chance to win 10 million weekly.
Taxation is a bit complicated, and the only way to demystify it and make it as easy to understand and to comply with is through engagement. Is there a limit to the number of cars a returning citizen is bringing into Uganda? Who has paid the excise duty on this water is not the supermarket which has sold you this bottle at 1,000. It's not the business. It is the man who is going to drink this water. We strongly believe that it will only be through such constructive engagement that we'll be able to broaden our tax base and build our country together.
Buza Commissioner. Now you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887 and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Buza Commissioner.
I don't settle for the surface. I go deeper. At UBC News Tonight, we unpack the story behind the story. We don't chase for views. We pursue facts. The election, the economy, the promises made, and those kept. We ask, we check, we verify. Because the truth should never be a mystery.
The President of the Republic of Uganda, Chairman of the NRM, and Presidential candidate and flag-bearer in 2026 general elections, is presenting himself to Ugandans as the leader committed to protecting the gains made since 1986 liberational struggle. The NRM revolution brought a fundamental change to Uganda, from creating a grassroots-based democracy to professionalizing the army, from launching socio-economic transformation programs to spearheading regional integration for wider market access. The NRM's bold push for industrialization has opened up jobs and opportunities for the youth. At the same time, millions of Ugandans have been empowered to join the money economy, moving our country closer to middle-income status. Now, we move into the next phase, the leap into middle-high income status, while safeguarding our progress. We can't, we must not go backwards as a country or as people. Our future depends on it. Protecting the gains as we make a qualitative leap into middle income status.